All right, welcome to episode 3 of Talking Nerdy. I'm Scott. With me, as always, is my buddy Joe. Thank you all for tuning in on another Tuesday night here on YouTube. I want to first remind everybody, if you're watching us after the live show, make sure you hit subscribe and like. Helps out the show a lot. Come visit us on our new Facebook group that is going to be linked to the YouTube page for some updates and future. So we'll get things kind of kicked off the bat here tonight. So Joe, what's been going on?
Wow. I've been busy, man. But between the toy hunting, the videos, the con yesterday, yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but fun couple of weeks. Crazy in a good way. So yeah, we did a podcast last night. My other one, we did a special night. We interviewed one of my favorite collectors, Century the Mad Collector. We interviewed him on Well That Effin' Figures, and that was a special night to do that. We usually do it on Sundays at 9 a.m., but we threw it on there at 5:30 last night so we could get him on, and it worked out. So that was fun. Great. And yeah, man. But my favorite part of the week, besides that, was the Monster Con that we went to, and I had a blast, man. So yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but crazy in a good way, like I said.
Yeah,
about you?
It's been busy. I mean, same here, kind of the same thing. Look, things around the house and catching up on some movies and some TV shows, but a lot of great stuff going on. I'm working on the room that I'm turning into the podcast studio. Right now, I'm kind of camped out in the library here at the house, and the lighting's a little uneven. So hopefully by the next time we will be together, I will be done the new room to have some photos up on the wall to showcase some of the things that I have collected over the years, and just a little bit better area. So, yeah. But this past weekend was my birthday, so we had a good weekend here. A lot of fun, did a lot of stuff. Of course, culminating with Sunday, my actual birthday. Joe and I went to Monster Mania, the horror convention up in Oaks, Pennsylvania, at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center. It was Joe's first foray into horror conventions. I mean, Joe's talked a lot about the toy conventions and things that he's done, but he got an opportunity to kind of step into my world a little bit of horror conventions. As I mentioned, I've been going to horror conventions for, almost 10 years now. And Monster Mania is by far my favorite. And I could not have thought of a better show to kind of get Joe indoctrinated, shall we say, or kind of get you up to speed with that. But what give us a little bit of your impressions as the newbie, shall we say?
Well, it's weird because like I've loved horror since before I was really allowed to watch horror, if that makes sense. Like I loved, the 80s, my favorite, is the 74 version of Texas Chainsaw. So I was 1 year old then. Obviously, I didn't watch it then, but I watched it as soon as I was able to and allowed to. And I'm just surprised that I've never been to one of these. I mean, I had a couple opportunities that fell through. I never followed up on them. Things happen, what have you. But I think it was all meant to be, where I met this crew from this movie as being my first one, and it kind of worked out perfect, to be honest with you. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the movie that Joe is referring to is Terrifier 2. For those of you that haven't listened to us before, we reviewed Terrifier 2 on episode 2. So go back and give that a listen. But it's definitely one of my favorite horror movies that has come out recently. Joe and I both had the opportunity to meet not the entire cast, but the main cast including Art the Clown himself, as I am kind of showcasing a little bit my Art the Clown sweatshirt tonight to kind of give us a little bit of love. But, you know, I got to tell you that, from a standpoint of as a person that goes to a lot of these conventions, the Terrifier cast was really one of the nicer groups of people that I think I can remember meeting. They
Yeah,
were so friendly and so humble. And, Lauren, who was, the final girl, as they call it in horror movies, um, she found out it was my birthday and like made it a point to come out from behind the table, give me a hug and take a picture with me. And, uh, everybody was really cool. I mean, Elliot, who played her brother in the movie, we actually sat there and talked about music because one of the cool things that I found out was, he's a heavy metal fan. He has his own pod, so make sure you look up Elliot's podcast and check out some of the interviews that he's done. But one of the things I found that was really cool is that, like he's an old school metalhead like me, and he goes out and all of the posters and the records that were on his wall in the movie were his. That
yeah,
was like his private collection. Um,
yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and the picture that you and I both got signed, he's holding up a Slayer album with
Yeah,
art, and it was at his actual vinyl, which,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, you have to get that picture signed. There's just no doubt in my mind.
Right, right.
That's the picture you need.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like the fact that he had the Ozzy Osbourne shirt on too is like, wow, this kid, he knows his shit, man. Like
he does.
he,
He goes
he's
old school.
he's wise beyond his years. He has some good taste in music. But yeah, like you said, the whole cast was awesome. I can't say that enough. I probably said it too much in my upcoming video tomorrow when it drops at 9 a.m. Um, from MonsterCon. But I mean, I've met a lot of stars, and I had autographs, and sports players and wrestlers and actors, and I've never come across a group of people so genuine. And I know they're all pretty new in Hollywood, most of them anyway. So I hope they stay the way they were. And yeah, that's where I'll stop that at. But I hope they stay genuine as they were the other day, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I'll be honest. I think that's kind of part of the charm of their particular film is the fact that they have such a connection with the fans. Because I mean, this is a purely as independent as you get.
Yeah,
I mean, look, as of last weekend, that movie they made for $250,000, right? That
yeah,
movie in theaters, probably at this point, less than 200 screens nationally, has made $12.5 million.
yeah.
So think about that. I mean, that is,
People they just wanted old school horror back, and they got it.
well, and look, this is the birth of the mega slasher, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah,
I mean, think about this. If you did this to scale, and this was like a Marvel movie, right? That is far and away the return on the investment is tenfold, more than
yeah,
tenfold at this point.
right.
So hopefully, and they did say during the convention, during the panel, that they're going to be doing Terrifier 3. I cannot wait. They've said that the movie might be so long that they might have to do it in two parts.
The only thing I hope is they leave the mystical shit out, because that's the like we talked about last time. That's the only
Mhm.
part I really did not like, and I've heard there's been a little backlash about that part of the movie from different folks. I just hope they leave that shit out, because it really didn't fit the rest of the movie or the rest of the series period. So I hope they
Sure.
leave that out for sure.
Well, look, I think, look, no film is perfect, as I said last week. I think, in the grand scheme of things, I hope they keep the campiness that was there. Because as I really felt that added to a lot of the charm of the movie. Um, so, so real quick, as part of your experience, what was kind of, let's take the Terrifier cast aside, what was your highlight?
Well, if I have to put that aside, I did see Robert Englund pretty close. That was cool. I didn't get his autograph. I didn't want to stand in that line. And the beauty of that is I will be back. We're going to go to more. We're
Hmm.
going to do more together. Um, we even talked about doing some of the bigger ones with the hotels and the weekends or whatever.
Hmm.
But I'll come across him again. I just yesterday after we got the autographs from the Terrifier 2 folks, I kind of just wanted to go buy some plastic, man. I just wanted to go buy some toys, man, and that's what I did. So yeah, that's another big thing for me. Like it was, they had a lot of good vendors there, and I got a lot of good deals, and yeah, so that was an added plus for me. But I was itching to get out there to them vendors, man, right after we got those autographs and whatnot.
Sure. And look, there were a lot of great vendors. I mean,
Yeah.
the nice part about the Oaks location is that it's so much bigger
Hmm.
than the other two venues that they use. They use hotels. So
Yeah.
you're kind of limited in the amount of space the hotel has.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And
was wide
while
open for sure.
it really was, and you could get a lot more vendors in there. I think there was a lot more to see. There was a lot more to do. It really felt like you weren't on top of each other. And I think you'll
Yeah. I
kind of see
mean,
what I'm talking about when we go to
yeah.
the next one.
The most important thing was you weren't on top of each other, and just you know be able to move and turn around without knowing you're going to knock into somebody or whatever. There was plenty of room. There was no it wasn't shoulder to shoulder.
Mhm.
They had everything pretty nicely done. Now I know when I went to ICCC, it was in a hotel. It was really crowded, and that's one reason why they're not going back to a hotel again. They're going to do something similar where they
Mhm.
rented out a convention center inside and out, I believe, and I can't wait to go to that again and see how that's going to play out because it should be 10 times bigger this year than even last.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the it's a blessing and a curse situation where your convention, you've got a lot of great momentum, and you have this grassroots appeal to your fan base like a Monster Mania,
Mm-hmm.
because the fans for Monster Mania are super loyal. Dave, who runs the event, he and I are friends on Facebook, and we interact quite a bit. One of the things with Dave is, he's super interactive with the fans. And, not to segue, if anybody's got any comments or anything you want to ask or anything you want to add, jump in the chat. We love to interact with anybody that comes in. So feel free to jump in. But I digress. So I guess from my perspective, look, I've done a lot of these. This was actually my fifth convention this year, my fifth horror convention. Um, and this one was by far my favorite, and not so much because of the Terrifier cast. I'm gonna pop this up because this was absolutely number one. My highlight. That's us. That's us
Yeah,
with the cast of Terrifier, including David is Art the Clown,
yeah,
the director Damien. There's Elliot, Joe, of course, Lauren, who was our final girl. That giant human being is me next to Art, and then our buddy Rick, who took the trip with us. Um, Thanks for getting us to the front of every line, Rick. Um,
yeah, yeah. He
he
definitely
was
got us
he
to
was
the
the
front of every
MVP.
line.
He
He's the
was the
MVP.
MVP. He was definitely the MVP.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, this to me was an absolute highlight. Uh, just to kind of get this experience, because this was actually after we had gotten our autographs. And God, it was a couple of hours later. We had already gone and had lunch and come back. And like Lauren still remembered who we were.
yeah,
Like she remembered it was my birthday when we came in. And it was super awesome.
yeah,
Um, but I think one of the other cool things for me was really to be able to kind of expose, you to this side of, horror conventions
yeah,
and what goes on. I think it's really, really cool, and it's such a good community. So, um, if you're interested in learning a little bit about more about Monster Mania, check them out on Facebook. Monster Mania Convention. They have 5 shows next year. It's the most they've ever done. Um,
I've
You
already
know,
shared them on Instagram too. So
yeah, two in
definitely gonna
Jersey,
have to hit some
Cherry
up.
Hill. Yeah, two in Baltimore, one
Hmm.
in Oaks. All of them are great. I have met some amazing guests this year. Doug Bradley from Hellraiser. Um, Clint Howard, who was Ron Howard's little brother, but he was also, he was in Star Trek and he was in, The Water Boy and, Ice Cream Man, which is a very campy, cultish horror movie. Um, Roddy McDowell and things like that. These are the
Hmm.
kinds of folks that come to these shows. These are big, big, big stars. Um, Not just the independent films like Terrifier, which is kind of big amongst the horror community, but not. It's going to be. Look, you've heard a lot about it. It's going to continue to grow because this is going to be a pop culture thing, in my opinion. This is the next big thing. Um, but yeah, I got to kind of share this with you and to kind of experience that Joe like wonder as you did your toy shopping. It's definitely not something I'm used to. I'm used to hitting, more of the artists and the t-shirt folks and
Hmm.
the people that do their own artwork and things. But you were head first into those toys. You got some great finds too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
One of the things that we were talking about before we jumped on live was Joe came across the Dracula, the Bela Lugosi Dracula,
Yeah,
you know, with with the coffin, which to me was super fucking cool.
yeah, yeah. You can't beat that.
Yeah,
That's my favorite pickup, obviously, of this weekend. I did an unboxing and review, and that'll go on YouTube at JMC Collects on Thursday, I believe.
cool.
For anybody that wants
Yeah,
to see that, it's not a long video, 5 6 minutes, but I don't do a in depth. I just open him up, check him out, and just show you what he's all about. But that that was a little bit of the story behind that. When the first one got away, I couldn't believe I found a second one in the same show. So I'm walking out with this gigantic box or two and my bags, and Scott's like, "What the fuck did you just do?" and I look at him, I'm like, "Dude, I found another one."
I was
And I
convinced. I
couldn't be
was
happier because I got it from a guy that I follow at Hassle Toys. So when I saw him, and he follows me on Instagram, I follow him. So buying it from him, that was even cooler.
mhm.
So I'm glad it worked out the way it did. But
Well,
it's an awesome piece, man. I can't wait to display it. I have some ideas. So
no, and I'm excited. And look, we'll post a link once the video from the show today that we're recording live now will be up live tomorrow on YouTube. And we'll get Joe to post a link up on the YouTube page as well as a link on our Facebook site for you to be able to hop on there and check out his unboxing video and kind of see some of the ill-gotten gains that Joe scored at Monster Mania.
yeah, and also I got my full video of Monster Mania Con. I edited that today, and it's going to go up tomorrow on YouTube at JMC Collects at 9 a.m. So I
Awesome.
got a good, I got some good footage there too. So yeah, that one's about maybe 20 minutes long or so, but I got a lot of good footage in that 20 minutes of the con and of some of the stuff that I got, and at the end I go over everything that I found and bought. So it was a fun time.
That's, that's awesome. I mean, I think it'd be cool for everybody to see the kinds of things you can find. I mean, look, is every show going to be that robust with vendors? No, no, because you can only fit so many people in these things.
Right.
But every show has different vendors and every show has its own personality. And I think we'll be able to really kind of bring that through. So, definitely check that out, get a chance to get a feel for what we're doing. There'll even probably be some footage of me running around like a lunatic. Um, and
Oh,
probably the quickest Joe has probably ever seen me move in the 30 years we've been
that's
friends.
the first thing we're going to see on that video. It reminded me of seventh grade pizza bread day and me and
You
you were
son
bolting over to get that damn pizza. And you know what
you
I'm
son
talking about. That pizza bread was the shit, wasn't it?
Oh,
Say
well,
knees,
look, I
buddy.
love a good French bread pizza. EC, welcome. EC Collecting jumping in.
EC, what's up, brother?
Um, yeah, thanks for joining. Um, but yeah, that was yeah. That look, who doesn't love good French bread pizza? And when where we went to school, it was definitely the highlight of our Fridays. Especially
Yeah,
also that once a month when they would get tomato pie. For those of you that
and
are not in the Philadelphia
that
area,
pizza bread got me detention because I left my safety patrol one Friday. I left my safety patrol early, my crossing guard duties, man, and I was like, you know what? Screw this. They're gonna run out, and I'm not gonna have that. I'm going over there and get me some pizza bread. Sorry, Sister Steven.
Jim Bob.
Shout out to Jim Bob, right?
Yes, those of you that went to St. E's, where we went in high school, in grade school, will know exactly what we're talking about. So, in the grand scheme of things, I have to be completely honest. Um, and thank you, EC. Yes, this is one of my new Art the Clown collections. I wore it this past weekend when Joe and I went to the show. But
Mine's in the wash.
yeah, I washed mine yesterday. Haha.
Mm.
So I guess look, I guess transition a little bit into a little bit of wrestling talk. Candidly, I did not watch wrestling last night. I was at the football game in Philly, freezing my backside off. Literally, probably I have pneumonia at this point. But I did read the recap. Um, I guess you can kind of fill in what I may have missed. Anything interesting?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't watch the entire thing myself. I was kind of flipping back and forth with the game and that, and to be transparent, I fell asleep. I was wiped out. Like I said, I had a busy couple weeks, and I get up early for work, and I just laid down on the couch, and I was out for a while. So I know Austin Theory beat down Seth Rollins.
I did see that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what happened towards the end of the show or anything like that, but or maybe that did happen at the end of the show. I might have seen a recap of that. It's all a blur to me. I was just going back and forth so much, and then I was knocked out in about an hour and a half. So
Well, let's
yeah,
go back and chat a little bit about Crown Jewel. It was a little bit over a week ago on a Saturday after our last show,
yep.
where the premium event took place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, Joe and I will not give you the recap that we did in the car on the way to the show.
No, we will not do that.
No, we will not do that full recap because we ad nauseum went through matches, but
We would like to stay on YouTube, so we will not go and do it the way we did there.
look, I looked at this from a couple of different angles. Is one match placement really weird? Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley right off the top. I guess Brock wanted to get on a plane and get out of Saudi Arabia as quickly as possible.
Yeah, cash
Um,
his check and
no.
go. Yeah,
and, and look, if I can borrow a Jim Cornette phrase, in this show there was a lot of lazy booking.
oh hell
Really
yeah.
weird endings. A lot of weird endings, like the Brock win with the pushing back off of the rope onto Bobby for the pin. That's
Mm.
something that you see a smaller wrestler use to beat a bigger wrestler.
Yeah, yeah, very
Um,
lazy.
you put like in the middle of the card a cage match. Just it was a weird placement for it. And then you have that option, this WWE option of being able to go out through the door or over the top of the cage. I hate.
I
I've
hate it
always
too.
hated it.
Pinfall
Um,
or submission only. It should be.
just keep you in the cage. It's supposed to keep people out, keep you in.
Yeah, that's one thing I do
Um,
agree that AEW does, and they do the old school way of just pinfall submission.
The old NWA way.
Yeah, the
The old
escape is
NWA.
like, why are you running? It's like, I never understood. Like, you're the first one out. That means you don't want to be in any fighting anymore, so you're running. I don't understand that whole scenario there, but I wish they'd change that, honestly.
No, I don't disagree. I do not disagree at all. Um, so then you get to Bailey and Bianca. Um, I know you are not a Bianca fan, but
She's good. She just,
she's
I
great.
don't see, I don't see, um, I don't know. Like, I don't see the like what like Sasha Banks and Bailey and even Charlotte Flair. Like, they bring something more. I'm just not a fan. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I really wish Sasha would come back and get it over with, and I hope that's coming up at Survivor Series. But
Well, you know
we'll
what's
see.
interesting? I've looked back over that feud. You know they have not had a regular one-on-one wrestling match. Everything's had a gimmick.
Who's
Last
that?
person standing.
Sasha and
Bianca.
Flair.
No,
Okay.
Bianca and Bailey.
Bianca and
They've
Bailey.
had
Yeah,
a ladder match. They've had a last woman standing match. They've had
yeah.
three-person tag team. It's
And the
never
thing
just been,
is, Bailey's losing them all. Why does she keep getting rematches? Like,
well, at
it's
this point,
lazy.
it again, lazy booking,
Yeah. And
to
I don't
borrow.
mind. Bianca can keep it. I have a funny feeling that Charlotte's coming back and getting that belt, which I don't 100% agree with. I don't think Charlotte needs a belt at this point. I think she needs some beltless feuds
Hmm.
with somebody. I don't know who. I, I don't know. I think they did so much with her so fast that, like, people are just tired of her having the belt. So
No, I agree.
I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that.
No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I don't know. They kind of backed themselves in a corner, and I don't know what Triple H is doing right now. It almost seems like Vince McMahon is in the background doing some things. It's
Well, look,
scary to see
they're
some
a
of these
public,
things.
they're a publicly traded company. He can't have any hand in it if they say he doesn't, because that would be defrauding the stockholders. But that's a different
Yeah.
conversation for another
Well,
day.
either that or he's learned from the worst. I guess I don't know what something's going on. But last week with that whole 6-pack challenge, and anyway,
Mhm. Well,
back to the
look,
crown.
let's look at it. I think the other piece of this, though, is that they have had so many premium events in a row between Clash at the Castle, now this,
Hmm.
Crown Jewel, and then Survivor Series is in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
They've had to cram 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. They still
by the way,
haven't.
for those,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna plug, on Survivor Series Saturday, we're gonna do a watch along on one of the other channels
Hmm.
that Joe and I associate with.
Yep.
We'll post a link where we're gonna watch along Survivor Series, the three of us, and we'll comment and add our own, you know, flavor to what's going on. And I'm excited because you guys will actually get a chance to see T3 checking in. What's happening?
T3, what's up, brother?
So you guys will actually get a chance in the watch along to see, the stream of consciousness conversations that Joe and I usually have on text messenger. I
Yeah,
have a feeling that'll be a 3-hour loose cannon for Joe.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I hope not. I hope they do it so well because they need the footage for future Survivor Series and War Games, and that's what I'm hearing. It's like they need all they have right now is the NXT previews from
and
their
they can't use
previous War
any of it.
Games, and they can't use them because none of them guys are there anymore. So um, they need to go all out, no pun intended, this time with and
I see
just
what you
and do all they can. Even a little blood wouldn't hurt, but I know they're probably not going to do that unless it's a
They're not
mistake.
going to
But
do. They're not going to do that unless it's an accident. Nobody's getting
yeah,
juiced at any point.
yeah,
So
I can hope.
yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the Usos being now the longest reigning tag team champions of all time after they beat the New Day for what seems like the 200th time last Friday.
That's probably an understatement. Yeah. I like the Usos. I'm just wondering where they're going to go with this whole thing and what's going to finally end it. I know they were talking Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn,
Well,
but
that's
now
not going to
Kevin's hurt
happen.
again. Kevin's hurt
Yep.
again.
Yep.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that now. It almost seems like they're starting back at square one because they really don't have a whole lot of tag teams. Do you really want to see the Viking Raiders as tag team champions? I really don't.
On the
I
fourth
I,
difference, a
I
little.
really like I like this I like the bloodline. It's really awesome what they're doing with them. But at some point you
It's
got
going
to
to get
give it
old.
up. And now they're talking The Rock may not make it to WrestleMania, so they might fill in with Stone Cold. It's getting really I don't know. It's everything's falling apart from what they had planned. I mean, I wish
Well,
what I'm hoping is, and this is what I'm hoping is Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble and goes on and beats Royal Roman Reigns for the belts or belts, whatever they decide to do.
well, they said
Um,
they know what the end game is for Roman Reigns, and it will be this year. He's going to lose it in 23.
mhm.
So, you know, going back to Kevin Owens' injury, look, I have it on good authority
Mhm.
that the injury is not as bad as everybody says.
Mhm.
It's a partially torn MCL, which
Yeah,
look on a bigger guy can be a problem, but they're going to rehab it. There's no plan for surgery immediately. So, um, the hope is that you know the hope is that they might be able to just extend out the program a little bit.
yeah,
And instead of the Usos dropping the belts at the Rumble, maybe it does stop at WrestleMania. I mean, they don't want to move Sammy right now anyway
mm,
because he's white
no,
hot.
yeah. And they were talking 6 to 8 weeks for Owens, and you know what? That brings you to around the Rumble, so it's not terrible. Maybe a little after. Maybe I guess that's right around the Rumble, 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere around that. But it wouldn't be terrible if they can do that. And if it's not as bad, maybe it'll be less time than that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, look, the nice part is though is they brought in so much talent, and they're going to be bringing some people up from NXT that I think that's going to give them an opportunity to do something a little bit different. Um,
Yeah.
but look, injuries have kind of started to rear their head a little bit. You got Tommaso Ciampa who's out,
Mhm.
and Candice LeRae is out again, and it's
Damn, already, huh?
yeah. That's why she was originally supposed to be in the War Games match, but
Mhm.
she's not in it, and they put Mia Yim in there last night because she's
Yeah.
fighting something. That's where that injury segment came from. So I'll be interested to see what the build is to Survivor Series. If nothing else, I say for nothing else, by the time we get to the main event, you or I will probably be half in the bag by then. Because I plan on drinking while we're doing it.
Oh yeah,
So,
that goes
if for
without
nothing else,
saying.
to make the early matches tolerable.
Yeah.
So,
Um, I think we're going to get a lot of surprises in the Royal Rumble as far as entrance
oh yeah,
this time, whether it be from NXT call ups or
the Forbidden Door.
yeah, wherever. Yeah, you know, there's been some rumblings about that too. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
Well, and look, I would not be surprised. I'm going to call it right now that the Great Muda shows up at the Royal Rumble.
Even Will Osprey, there's been some rumblings like that he wants to work with them. So can you imagine?
That'd be
And they
something,
already
wouldn't
have
it?
Muda working with Shinsuke
Nakamura.
Nakamura. Yeah,
Yep.
so things are starting to happen. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So transitioning a little bit into what we got coming up. Um, Stellar Con this weekend. Speaking of
Yeah.
convention,
Hmm.
Joe and I are going to be going to Stellar Con in Bel Air, Maryland this weekend.
Yep.
Probably about 30 minutes south of here. Uh, you know, to and I think this one is really kind of more pop culture-y, comic-y, kind of
Hmm.
video gamey,
Right.
which is look
Yeah.
right up our alley and right up everybody else's alley. And
Yeah.
I'm sure Joe is going to probably blow another $1,000 on toys. Um,
I hope not.
you'll have to answer for that. Um,
Have to sneak them by. Oh man, you're gonna have Jesus. Yeah.
you're hiding them in the garage. Um,
Actually, when I brought that Dracula home, she was like, "Wow, that's pretty awesome!" Like she couldn't believe how heavy and like solid that thing was. So,
it was cool. Like I said, I had a little bit of envy, but I wasn't going to spend what you spent. Um, by no means.
right.
Now, you know, looking ahead, I mean, SellerCon this weekend, they've got it's a much smaller, just a couple of guests. Kyrie Payton from The Walking Dead, which will be
Hmm.
kind of interesting since The Walking Dead's final episode is this weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
it's cool. Yeah,
candidly, candidly though, I haven't watched The
yeah.
Walking Dead in 4 or 5 years.
I've
Um,
been watching it. I have about 15 episodes on my DVR that I need to catch up on. Maybe now that it's getting cold as shit out, I can actually stay in and put the fireplace on and watch some good TV instead of being
I
out and
kind of
about.
decided. I kind of decided with The Walking Dead that I'm going to wait until it's completely done, and then I'm going to give myself a little bit of separation, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to re-binge from the very beginning
Jesus.
and go right in a row.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if I could do that again, but they
yeah,
were
I
they
know.
were a lot better. I enjoyed it more even through the first year that Negan showed up.
Oh yeah,
Rather, I enjoyed all that more than what they're doing these last few seasons for sure. Um,
I gave up before the whispers got there.
that
Um,
was another. That was a cool idea too. I mean, because the zombies are coming, right? So,
mhm,
um, but this zombie can run. This zombie can talk. Like you don't know who the real ones and who the whisperers were. So that was
right.
a pretty unique little time right there. But still, the first year Negan was there and prior were my favorites. But
Oh,
the
that was
whispers
when
were
the show
cool
was
though.
rolling. I mean, when they were right first in Alexandria and all that, and
Yeah.
oh my god, that was when it was white hot. Like
Hmm.
that was when it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Negan's a great character. It had me thinking because, the governor was at Monster Mania this past weekend, David Morrissey.
Hmm.
Um, and, it got me thinking back to that time, like the governor and then
Hmm.
Negan. And that
Yeah.
was when the show was fun.
It
It
was
kind of
fun.
jumped the shark for me a little bit, when they let Negan live and, Rick leaves the show and then Michonne
Hmm.
leaves the show. And,
And then Maggie takes over as a leader, and I
well,
liked where she was before. I didn't like it. I really like her as an actor, and I like her in the show, but I didn't like her as the leader of the group. I don't know.
it was a weird transition when
It
she came
was.
back because
Yeah.
when Lauren Cohan, who plays Maggie, well, she originally left the show because she had gotten a pilot picked up by ABC,
Hmm.
and she was in this really shitty show with Scott Foley, who was on Scandal at the time, and he was an American FBI agent. She was like some Irish FBI agent, and there was this espionage kind of love triangle kind of weird thing. I watched like 2 episodes and was like, this is like pure dog shit.
So you've probably seen every episode
Yeah, because it was
then.
canceled really quickly because she
Really
was
quick.
back on The Walking Dead like a year later.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
And I was
but yeah,
glad to have her come back. I just didn't like. Yeah, I know when she came back and Negan was there, she was pissed because he killed Glenn,
oh,
and
spoilers! I'm just kidding.
that was years ago. If they don't know by now, they don't need to know. That's their problem. Um,
The look on your
but
face, by
yeah,
the way,
like I didn't get
like,
that whole thing there. Like, and then they had him in jail all this time, and some people trust him, some people don't. And if he did all these bad things, why are you keeping him around? And it was just I don't know. I enjoyed the first year Negan was there and prior, but everything after that I put up with because I love the show, but it wasn't really grabbing me like it was. in the years prior.
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot. I know it's going to do big numbers for AMC this weekend, just
Yeah.
because the people that were in it in the beginning are going to want to come back to see how it ends.
Hmm.
Look, I have no idea what's gone on the last 4 or 5 years, so I am absolutely not going to be one of them that watches it. But like I said, I'll wait, give myself a little bit of time to get some separation, and then spend a week or two.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things I love with the ages of streaming is to be able to go in and just go back and relive some shows that were great.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
like first of all, the snow. See,
Great point,
TV.
EC.
It's
They
cold
never
enough
took
here.
responsibility for the dues with the saviors. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
And they veered
So
so far away from the comic. They
yeah.
just veered
So
so far away.
the episodes I have on DVR, I may actually get to watch before the final one this weekend because I actually have a few days where I don't have shit to do for the first time in about 2 weeks. And I actually might be able to just sit down and watch some TV when I get home from work. So that'll be a treat.
Yep.
So I may catch up on those and get that over with, and that'll be fitting because I'll finish it, and then I'll meet Ezekiel Saturday. Hopefully, maybe if I don't know if I will meet him, but I'll see him, and
Yeah.
then they'll have the final episode, and we'll be done with it. We can move on to something else.
So what are like some of the shows that like you can go back to and watch, like I don't know, they could have aired like 10, 15 years ago. You could still go back and watch every single episode like it was the first time.
Um, well, Cobra Kai for sure.
Okay. A newer one. I like it.
Shameless,
Oh, good one.
um, and I guess the one that sticks out. I love Big Bang Theory. I probably watched them all about 100 times each. I could watch that all the time. That's a great show.
It's one of those ones that you could catch on and
Yeah,
literally, like, if you come across it, you stop and you see what episode
yeah,
it is.
yeah. Like
We all, because you
you're
all,
looking for something to put on. You come across that, and boom, you're good. You
I
watch
think
it.
for me, it's definitely The Shield, which was like
Hmm.
my all-time favorite show.
Hmm.
100%. Deadwood, which was on HBO.
Yep, I
Um,
remember that. Yep.
and he brings up Game of Thrones, and I probably agree with you if not for that last season. That last season was complete and total horseshit. Um, I don't even choose
I've
to.
never. I watched the first episode. That's it, and I couldn't do it.
Candidly, I have not watched the new Game of Thrones series yet
Hmm.
because I'm still angry about the last one.
Wow,
That's it.
I
So
don't even
yeah,
know
for
what
me,
happened. To be honest with
the
you.
Shield, yeah, the Shield, Deadwood, probably Sons of Anarchy too. Sons of Anarchy is another one I could
Hmm.
like I could be on Hulu and I don't have anything. Oh, Dexter's another good one.
Hmm.
Huge Dexter head. Um, but again, that last season of Dexter was complete dog shit.
Hmm.
However, they did fix it when they came back and did that last season last year,
Hmm.
which was completely amazing. And I had a chance earlier this year to meet Michael Hall and the cast of Dexter at Monster Mania back in March,
Hmm.
just as this most recent season was ending. And literally during his panel, Michael Hall says, I love the fact that we could come back and right a wrong because he knew that last season was complete horseshit.
Hmm.
Um, but for those of you that have not watched some of those shows, like Deadwood, Dexter, um, The Shield, which look, The Shield's on Hulu, by the way. It is, it was done in the late '90s, 2000s. I'm gonna say no, 2000s, probably late 2000s. Um, it's about a corrupt police unit in LA, a gang unit. Um, and it's got Michael Chiklis in it, and it is unbelievably amazing how good that is. The
Another one
writing.
that comes. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, please.
Another one that just came to my head was Breaking Bad,
Oh yeah.
Blue Bloods. I love both of those shows. And one that I really want to get into is Yellowstone. I really want to get into Yellowstone, but I feel like I'm so far back and like I'm so out that I don't know if I'll ever catch up now because I don't have the time or the attention span to sit there and try to catch up with that. But I could try, but I don't. I just don't see me sitting still enough to do that. I'm all over the place. So
So EC's asking, is there going to be another season of Dexter? That was the rumor that the head of Showtime was on board for following Dexter's son. And for those of you that don't know, the last season that they just redid reunited Dexter's son Harrison with Dexter. And there was some commitment to following Harrison's story after the ending to the last season of Dexter. With a new head of Showtime, that just kind of happened with a merger. It's hard to say because they can't get a commitment. Uh, I would like to see where it is because Jeff Lindsay, who wrote Dexter, was really on board with like there are some amazing stories that we could tell with this character. Um, and easy is it's like lighten up the shows here. Yellowstone, yeah. Last Kingdom, agreed. Vikings, completely agree.
he watches a lot of
Um,
TV. This EC.
yeah, man. Good Lord. I have a lot of things like in my Netflix queue that I really want to go in and watch, but like there's just so much else going on. Like I just never have time for it. Like I added like 5 more things today. And I'm like, I'm never gonna flip and watch these. But I'm doing
Oh,
it to myself. Go ahead.
American Horror Story.
Oh
I wish they
yes.
would come back and do it the way they were doing it. I know it's still on somewhere. I have no idea
Hulu.
where. Is
Hulu.
it? I want them to go back and do the season on FX like they used to.
Oh, you know
Was
that's
it
Fox.
FX? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was
that's
FX.
Fox's
Yeah,
fault. Fox made this deal that
yeah,
they have to have certain original programming. And they had this deal that, because now FX is buried on a lot of shows and it's mostly movies. There's no original programming anymore.
hmm
They moved all their original programming over to Hulu,
yeah.
which is fine because then I forget that American Horror Story is on and like I will like fall behind 2-3 weeks. Like candidly, this season with the New York story um is bananas. It's complete bananas, but it's in a good way.
hmm
Like definitely a good sit down and watch. Um and you know what? You know what's interesting? What we should probably do in the next episode is make a list of the things that are on our watch list and try to determine are we ever really going to watch this? Um
Mine's very short. My watch list is short because, like I said, I have
I
a
have like
very
I have every streaming service there is. I have Disney, I have
yeah.
Hulu, I have Paramount Plus.
I got
Um,
Disney and Netflix, and now I got Screenbox. So that's about as far
yeah,
as I'm gonna go, man. I gotta,
yeah.
I'm buying toys, not streaming services.
See, well,
I'm
for
on the
me,
hunt.
I used to travel a lot for work, so like
hmm
I would download episodes and watch them
Yeah,
on the airplane or in the hotel, or that's how I got started, like watching a lot of shows.
yeah,
Because I would be bored, and I don't want to watch local television. EC the first season of True Detective, completely agree. Anything after that, I can't agree with you there. Um, so so yeah, that should probably be a future episode. But to kind of digress back to the original point, we were talking about StellarCon. We also got the guy that played Rufio and Hook going to be there this weekend.
yeah.
Um, and then a complete geek out moment for me, not so much for you, but I am an avid video gamer. That's one of the nerdy things for me. Um, is video gaming. So, uh, my favorite video game series is Assassin's Creed. I have played every single game. Um, I have every single one on my Xbox to this day. Uh, and the guy that played the original was in the original Assassin's Creed first couple of games. Actually, played Desmond Miles, which was one of the primary characters. Will be at this show. So for me, this will kind of be a bit of a nerdy kind of geek out moment because this guy voiced a character on a
Yeah.
game that I love, and I have a lot of Assassin's Creed stuff that will be going up in the new room, so I'm kind of excited to showcase some of that. Um,
Yeah.
and actually, some of the Assassin's Creed figures I have. So yes, I do have some figures as well. Um, so yeah, that I think overall, I'm interested to see. Yeah, he was in that one with Connor. That was Assassin's Creed 3. That was the one that took place during the Revolutionary War. Um, and Joe, at some point we talked a little bit about this in the car on Sunday. We probably should have recorded the hour long conversation. Well, probably not. In the
Wait,
car.
wait. The ride up or the ride back or both?
No, well, we probably shouldn't have recorded any of it because
Either one. It probably if that ever leaked. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know.
we,
Uh,
we'd be thrown off the platform for sure.
yeah,
But
something. Or the
one
Earth.
of get into a little bit of video game talk with some of our favorite ones, and going back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
some of those, talking a little bit about those, and Connor, I'll tell you that one with Assassin's Creed 3 was really one of my favorite ones. Another one that was really good was Black Flag. Um, and I could talk about those. That was the one that took place. Edward Kenway was the protagonist, and it was a pirate themed. And anyone that knows me knows I have a huge thing for Pirates of the Caribbean. Um, so anything really pirate themed is going to catch my attention. That certainly did, and it's a game
So
that
what do
I've
you
gone.
think about not having Johnny Depp in it anymore? Were you
Well,
pissed?
here's a fun fact. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but Margot Robbie came out and said, because originally it was going to be that Margot Robbie was going to be in the reboot, and it was going to be a
Mhm.
female themed Pirates of the Caribbean with a female protagonist to kind of go along with the ride, where they made the redhead in the ride a
Mhm.
pirate.
Yep.
So they were going to do something like that. Here's the thing: is yesterday it came out. Margot Robbie said that Disney killed it because the rumor is Johnny Depp is coming back to close the loop on Pirates.
Good. I don't
So
think it would be the same without him.
I don't either. I don't think it can be a Pirates movie without
Mm-mm,
Captain Jack
mm-mm,
Sparrow.
mm-mm.
I mean, let's be candid. Look, I am very partial to that. My dog is named Jack Sparrow, for the love of
Yeah,
God.
sure is. He's not
So
lying. He's not lying.
yeah, I am not lying. So for me, I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. Candidly, I don't know what Disney knows what they want to do. Although, honestly, in other little Johnny Depp related news, I don't know if you saw this, but he signed to be in the Beetlejuice sequel.
Oh, really? No, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
he is going to
Huh.
play. He is going to play Beetlejuice's arch enemy.
Wow.
Yeah, he is going to
They're
be
just
the.
remaking everything, aren't they?
It's not a remake. It's a full-on sequel. It's
Wow.
the cast. I don't know if they're going to get Alec Baldwin. He's kind of like Hollywood poison at the moment, but um, I think there's a real good chance um, that the sequel will be pretty decent, even if they don't get Gina Davis. I mean, Winona Ryder is signed
I was gonna
for this.
say, are they gonna get Winona Ryder? They are.
She
Yeah.
is signed.
Okay.
Burton is directing. So
Uh-huh.
look. The minute you tell me that Tim Burton is on board, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I'll
Very
watch it.
few of his movies I haven't liked.
Hmm.
So, um, look, Joe, it's come to that time. We're about 55 minutes into the show. So what I'm gonna do is the part that we have come to is now time for our segment called Loose Cannon. And look, let me set this up for those of you that haven't watched us before. I give Joe 5 minutes at the end of every show to go off on whatever's on his mind. Could be wrestling related, could be movie related, could be anything. I'm not interjecting. It's Joe's 5 minutes unless he asks me a question. But it's his time to shine, shall we say? Because look, as you see, I dominate most of the conversation. Um, so with that, I turn this over to our loose cannon.
Well, this week we already talked about a lot of it, about the 6 pack challenge, about what they did to Austin Theory. But I think Triple H needs to step it up. So this week, I'm a little more calm. I had a good week. The cannon's still going off, but it's not as bad. I'm not going to take the whole 5 minutes. I'm just going to say, I hope he steps it up. Because nowhere in the history of wrestling have you ever had a Money in the Bank being cashed in on an open challenge where anybody can just go get a title shot on an open challenge. And they made this man give his Money in the Bank up, which they know was a mistake giving it to him because they had no plan for it. And they make him an ass of himself on TV just to get back, I guess, at Vince McMahon, which I don't. And I know McMahon destroyed NXT on purpose to get Triple H. Because he lost to AEW on Wednesdays, but he did not have to do it this way. There was other ways of doing it. There's other ways to get that off of him, and I hope they didn't destroy the whole Money in the Bank concept because they had a few of them bad, a few bad ones in a row. I mean, Otis, they didn't know what to do with that, so they had him lose it to somebody else, which was ridiculous. And now this year, they have him go and cash it in on an open challenge where you don't need to cash shit in. You just go and challenge. On top of that, excuse me, taco night, you got you got a 6-pack challenge, which is really reminiscent of Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. 6 women in there, and I love women's wrestling, but 6 women who a few of them haven't been around in a while. A few of them have lost every match they've been in the last few months. I just don't get where these wrestlers are number one contender enough to get into this 6-pack challenge. I'm not understanding. Do you have anything you want to say about that? Because I'm going to give you some time on this one.
Look, I share your opinion. I think some of it is lazy booking, but I also think is that there were some wrestlers that were pushed incorrectly that they're now trying to reset the roster. And remember, I did tell you back in episode 1 that I think it's going to be until the first of the year until we really start to see like true, like the last vintages of Vince. I think you really need to reset the roster and get a lot of things done. So
I'm hoping, but rewind to some of our conversation. First we were like, all right, so SummerSlam, he had just taken over. You get a mulligan on this one. And then the next pay-per-view comes over, Extreme Rules. Let's give him a mulligan again. He did better, but it's still a little quirky. It wasn't the perfect pay-per-view. It was good. Bray came back. That made me happy. The Drew match with Karrion Kross was not very good. Let's be honest.
Yep.
You had Bianca and Bayley again, and again and again and again. Let's give him another mulligan. You only get one mulligan, dude. Like, you got the pen.
Look,
Wrestling fans forget very easily. All he has to do is cut the head of the snake off, change everything. We wouldn't care, but he can't keep doing the same things that Vince was doing. And maybe even worse. I mean, they opened the show yesterday with a chant that was stupid or something to that effect about the Austin Theory thing. And now Austin Theory has a whole different persona. Just like that.
Maybe it'll be good for him now.
It might be good for him, but like I said, wrestling fans forget easily like what happened.
Sure.
But even the fact that, all right, so you got, and this is my last point on this, but you got Shotzi, which should be Shotzi Blackheart, but they haven't done that yet either. That's another thing that drives me fucking crazy with these names. They take the last name away to make it easier for the announcer to say. Anyway, she goes and says, well, Ronda's never faced anyone like me. Well, in June, she faced you. So she did face somebody like you. Not only like you, it was you. And she beat the shit out of you and made you tap out. Now you deserve another title shot. I don't think so. She's one of the ones I was talking about that she hasn't won anything lately. Why is she in a six-pack challenge to determine the number one contender?
Well,
Why?
let's remember too. I think they also anticipated Sasha being back by now, Charlotte being back by now,
Yeah.
and they can't run Liv back out there. They had to do something different.
I
And
mean, honestly, I know it's wrestling, but look, nobody can beat Ronda. Nobody, and very
Holly
few women in the
Holm
world can beat Ronda.
Amanda Nunes might disagree.
Well, I'm just saying. I know wrestling's predetermined, but when you put Ronda as champion, are you really going to buy Aaliyah beating her for the title? Are you really going to buy Bailey beating her for the title? Sasha beating her for as good as Sasha is. If Ronda puts her in the arm lock, it's over. Like nobody's beating her. So she doesn't really need to even have the belt. I think they should drop that off her and give her and Shayna the tag belts. Yeah. And that would be a nice little.
Yeah, I wouldn't be interested in that either.
I'd like them together, though. No, they finally put them together. That was good.
I think it's good for the faction, but all right. Well, that's going to do it for episode 3 tonight. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, participated. If you're watching again, remember to subscribe, hit like, hit us up in the comments or in the email, or join the Facebook page. Definitely want to hear from everybody. As we go out, for those of you that joined a little late, we're going to pop up our photo that we had taken with the Terrifier cast on Sunday at Monster Mania on our play out. But thank you all for tuning in for Talking Nerdy. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. And until then, keep it nerdy, everybody.
Thanks for watching.